Today, we're going to explore the balance between two very important concepts. The first one that I want to talk to you about is the spectrum of emotions, looking into the left-hand side with very negative emotions all of the way to positive emotions. And then I want to talk with you about the importance for entrepreneurs of choosing between being an impact-driven entrepreneur or a profit-driven entrepreneur. And do you actually have to choose? So that's going to be the two topics for us today. To do that, I want to introduce you, Manmeet Chowdhry. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, Chowdhry. Yeah. Yes, perfect.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really inspired to be here.
So you are an international speaker. You are also a mindset expert with about 20 years experience in psychology, in values, and in consciousness. And you're helping hundreds of entrepreneurs and their teams actually to break barriers and to also support the people with productivity. So we're going to have a fantastic conversation. I'm really excited.
Yes. Awesome.
And I wanted to ask you directly the first question, because when I think about the emotions and on the spectrum, I see, of course, the media and the situation in the world being very negative, right? That is bringing us to a certain feeling of despair and almost depression. And I know in the realm of personal development, as entrepreneurs, as leaders wanting to be on the growth path, we want to remove that negative drive and actually have a tendency to bring the exact opposite as a positive mindset only, right?
Yeah.
So how can an entrepreneur bring forth both sides of the spectrum to embrace a more fulfilling and growing life?
Yeah. I love this question. I think it really helps actually bring out what really got me into what I do in the first place. So we know, positive thinking is like a $1 trillion industry. And, from many years ago, it was still kind of pushing forward to let's just think positive. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure, Matt, you've been there, right? When you're going through some challenges and someone comes along and says to you, just think positive, I think you want to hit them, right?
Yeah, I was that person, to be honest. And I even had issues with my partner.
So was I.
With that. Like, let's remove the negativity and let's just think positive. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's because we've been taught that for a long time, and we're not wrong for doing it. We go through that. But I too was like, I was just really trying to think positive all the time. And then I thought all these perceived negative things were just happening to me. So I was kind of going between the two spectrums. Like, here I am trying to fulfill and be, fulfill my mindset with, positive things. And then yet all the negative things were coming in. Over time, it's only more recently now, neuroscience has actually proven that our brain cannot do one without the other. And I found that very fascinating when that research came out. And it only came out a few years ago, but we were already trying to practice that and teach people this, that it's not about, like the Buddha said, it's not about chasing what's unobtainable, which is a one-sided positive life. And it's not about trying to avoid what's unavoidable, which is a negative life. It is that's the source of all human suffering. Mm-hmm. So if it's the source of human suffering, that means there's something wrong if we're just trying to, think positive. And
so would you say that actually thinking only positive is kind of like unrealistic and almost delusional?
Yeah, I think, well, the thing is, we're conscious of it. So we might be seeing something, and now I could be like, this podcast is a positive experience. Mm-hmm. But in it, equally, we've had to have the challenges of, getting here and everything. Like, it's like, this is a balanced podcast we're doing, it's like, so for example, we might just be conscious of one side, but the other is unconscious, but our brain in actual fact has already seen the duality.
Yeah, we've seen all of the information.
Both sides. Yeah. Exactly, yeah. So we already have all the information to make it something very balanced, but we just don't ask the right questions to help us see both sides of things. So we kind of stay stuck in that. And really what that is doing is when we perceive something to be positive, we now start to infatuate with it. We start to see it as good, and we start to, on an animal level, we see it as food.
Okay.
So all we're doing now in our amygdala is from our animal brain is we're seeking food.
Oh, it's the craving of I want that piece of chocolate idea. Yeah. Okay.
Because when we see something to be positive, we are releasing oxytocin, endorphins, and all of those things, which actually has that positive chemicals going through our body. So now it becomes something that we're always chasing, for example, and like just wanting. On the other hand, if we're perceiving something to be negative, we're going to see it as a predator and we're going to want to avoid it because we don't want to be eaten.
Yes.
So if we are going through life seeking, avoiding food, predator, either one of those extremes, we're going to be so emotional about what we're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as a leader, as a business owner, when you're doing that, you're acting so much more from reaction rather than the middle path of action where you're going to be embracing both. You see, that means like, oh, if my business has done this great, then I'm going to keep seeking that. If you then see something that's happened in your business or even as a leader, you think, you know what, I messed up there. That was a mistake. And now you go, I want to avoid that at all costs. You're going to be emotional. You're going to be making decisions based on that seeking and avoiding.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying is like trying to go both sides, you're becoming erratic.
Yes.
Avoidance and also the chaser. And feels a bit like trying to chase all of the many rabbits and being able to catch none of them, right?
You got it. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
So to be very clear about why should we pursue also or accept actually the negative emotions? What would be the advantage of actually going into feeling and accepting those negative emotions?
So I think the first thing here to address is that an emotion is firstly just an imbalanced perspective. So whether it's a positive emotion or a negative, it's imbalanced.
Okay.
When you integrate and embrace both, you see it as neither. It's neither negative or positive. So in that state of neutrality, you don't have noise. Let me give you an example. I'll ask you the question, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's been a time where you've gone to bed and you've thought something that was very, you were elated about it was great, you were infatuated, and you couldn't sleep at night.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is my entrepreneur's life at 1 a.m. having an idea, this is my next podcast or this is my next article, and I cannot sleep from that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I would say that kind of sleep is a little different. It's an inspired state. Whereas if I said, you're in a relationship, right? So most of the time when we first meet someone, we get infatuated, right? And we're like, oh my God, they got the same number of eyes as us, and the same
so
number
much in common.
Yeah. That's the kind of sleep when from that perspective is slightly different. And I'm sure you've been there when you've been quite resentful of something or someone, and it's also taken up time and space in your mind. Absolutely. And you couldn't sleep. Yeah. So if you look at it from that perspective, neither one of those emotions allows peaceful sleep in a true inner peace.
Yes. I got you.
But when you integrate the two, you see now when you said I couldn't sleep with the inspired idea, your inspired idea, that integration is, yes, I've got this podcast idea. I've got this, oh my God, it's going to be this. And then you're already thinking of the downsides. You're already integrating the two, but an inspired state is more of the integration of the two. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the importance of embracing that is because if you stay here, you're going to want to only seek this, and your life is going to revolve around making decisions to try and achieve this only. And if you're trying to make decisions when you're in this state, it's the same. It's like, I want to avoid that. It's painful. It's challenging. All the chemicals that are being released in my brain because I'm seeing that. I mean, that eventually goes into depression, and, depression to the point when you don't even see there's anything good in something, because it's like, okay, I'm not conscious of that side.
Yeah.
And you get down the path of suicide eventually, because you're like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to check out this side. I'm never going to reach this side. So my life is all this side, and you're imbalanced with that.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is also, life happens and bad things happen. So as a leader and as an entrepreneur, I might have my sales going down. I'm not reaching my targets. Cost is going up. Maybe my CFO has decided to quit, and how do I actually deal with all of that? So that brings a lot of negative emotions.
Yeah.
So what would you tell these entrepreneurs, these business leaders in that situation? Because obviously they cannot avoid that negative part. They cannot see right now the positive behind this. And no one is going to say, yes, my CFO is gone, I'm so happy about it, unless you really hated him, but you should have done something before.
Yeah.
So this just happens. What would you recommend that they do at that moment, and maybe exercises or thoughts?
Yeah, of course. So the first thing is that when, like you said, well, what you said is bad things happen. I'd love to rephrase that in that things happen. How we perceive them to be good or bad is all based on our priorities, sometimes known as values.
Okay.
Because if something supports your values, just like you gave I know we laughed about it, but it's actually a great example. If you didn't like your CEO, you're going to call it good. But if your CEO was like, the best thing since sliced bread in your mind, and now they leave, now you're going to go, that's a bad thing. There is, it's a great way when you kind of have a non-attachment to people coming and going, because in a business world, well, actually not just in a business world, in life in general, stress is the inability to adapt to change. And we only ever have two forms of stresses. I know this is going to come a bit of a shock.
No, go for it.
But really, it boils down to two things. And we were speaking about them earlier. It is your stress comes from losing the thing in your perception. You don't want to lose things that you infatuate with, and you don't want to gain things that you resent.
You don't want to lose the things
that you're infatuated
with. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to lose my partner. I don't want to lose my business.
Yeah,
and I don't want to gain things
that you resent. So if I said to you right now, go to one moment in your life that it was so stressful for you. In your perception, you were doing stress, because we know it's a state you can change, but you were doing so much stress. You were just seeing it as very stressful. Tell me what that moment was.
My first launch event here in Dubai for the launch of Conscious Leaders Dubai.
Okay.
It was very stressful because I wanted to have a certain amount of people coming in, and we are 1 week before, and those people are not there. Those numbers are not there. So that was the stressful part.
So that fear was gaining something you resent. When I say resent, I mean it be dislike. There's different degrees of resentment, dislike, everything. So if we look at what you didn't want an event where you didn't have the numbers. And that then was causing the stress in your brain, in your body and everything that I want to avoid not having people. And you were trying to seek, because in your mind, you were like, this is the thing that, has got the better outcome. But if I said to you, well, actually, what would, in that moment, what would the benefits have been to you if you didn't have the amount number of people you want to turn up, and you started looking at it, it's like, oh, how would it serve me in my highest priorities and values right now? By not having that number of people, what would it allow me to do in my business? What would it allow me to do at the event? Yeah,
absolutely. And actually, this is how I changed it all, because I was getting really stressed out about it. And I completely reframed it as the right people are going to show up, and we're going to have an incredible event with those people. And actually, to tell you, so at first I wanted to have 100 people, who ended up being like a bit more than 40. And that was fantastic. And I've actually realized I didn't want to have 100. That was a vanity metric to be able to tell my friends, hey, my first event brought 100 people. Look at how cool I am, But the reality is, what I wanted was to bring the people to an event where they're all loving it.
And you see, I love how you said it was more of the metric, that you want in a vanity thing, because there's the infatuation. Right. And it's like, oh, if I get 100, I can tell my friends about it. But when you got real and true, when you got congruent and aligned with who you are by embracing both sides, it's like, okay, it might not be 100, but what will it do if it's 40, 50 people? You're going to have, and you just literally were able to go, this is how it's going to serve me. I'm going to have 40, 50 people. I'm going to give them everything I have, and concentrate on them. You actually, that's where magnetism is, because you then get people to come to the event in that way. So I think when you're looking at things, sometimes people say to me, but why can't I just stay positive? You know, why, or if I'm doing something to celebrate, like, why can I not just, stay in that state? You can, but the universe has a beautiful way of bringing you back to balance. And this is through many different feedback systems. We tend to have 4 feedback systems, and I'm just going to share a couple, but basically your intuition. So when your intuition is trying to bring you back to balance, it's like when you have something and you think it's amazing, there's a little intuition going, there's got to be some downsides here.
Little voice in your head. Yeah.
It's saying this is too good to be true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And people ignore that. And they go, oh, no, it's fine. Like, this deal is great. I'm going to go in with it. Because like a lot of the property investors I work with, I tell them this. I was like, before you go in to do a deal, if your intuition is saying this is too good to be true, it's just showing you've not looked at the downsides.
Yeah.
Now,
Gotcha.
when you think something is positive in that way and you go, what's the downside? And now it's not to change that thing positive into negative. I want to make that very clear, because people go, well, if I look at all the downsides, I'm going to not like it. No, then you've gone too far.
Yeah.
Right. It's about going, you see enough downsides that are equal to the upsides, and you're able to then go, this has got both sides. What would I now love to do?
Gotcha.
And you now have an inspired action rather than, a decision, which is a death to an option, because you've got 2 options and now you've just killed one off. And you're still slightly infatuated with one side. That's why you're making a decision. But when you're balanced and you can see both sides, you just move forward knowing you're going to be embracing both.
And it prevents you also from being fully disappointed, even though that was a success, because your expectations are so high. Even though the reality is good, it is still not as good as you wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So it's keeping you in check as well, right?
Yeah. And there's an illusion of the word success, because we think success is here and failure is here. Again, it wasn't until more recently that people started to reframe, failure as lessons and, blessings. I mean, I call them blessings, right? Because it's a bit of both.
Blessings?
Yes, blessings. I must trademark that.
They're blessings in disguise.
Blessings and lessons together.
Correct.
But when you start to see both of them, you see the minute you think you're successful, you're on your way down because you think you've arrived.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when you're seeing yourself as being a failure and you're perceiving it starts to repurpose you, because now you're asking, how do I get back on track? What do I do? How do I make it better, etc.? And then you start these questions to get back on track. So those 2 are even polarities.
Gotcha.
But when you are embracing both success and failure, you're living a fulfilled life, an optimum life.
Beautiful.
Because that is what it really takes to be able to just, be able to move forward. And I think just going back to that part of stress, you see, when you're doing the middle ground of stress, is called eustress. The other 2 polarities are distress. Eustress is something so important to me that I am willing to embrace both pain and pleasure, both negative, positive, both, loss and gain in pursuit of it, because it's that important.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what has us living that fulfilled life.
Yeah. And there's also that acceptance of being in a situation that might be unpleasant and knowing already that there's going to be a lesson or blessing, you said.
Yeah.
At the end, right? It's being in this tunnel is fully dark and knowing at the end there's light and there's everything you need to get. But that takes, of course, a lot of courage to sit in it and accept it.
Yeah.
Manmeet, you mentioned intuition as one of the 4 feedbacks. Could you maybe very quickly say the other 3?
Yeah, of course. You got social feedback. Right? So if you don't listen to intuition, your social feedback comes in. So like the voice in your head is going, okay, it's too good to be true. And also, pardon me, I didn't mention the other side. If you're seeing something to be negative, your intuition's going, oh my God, there's got to be something coming out of this. Like you said, there's got to be some sort of blessing. So your intuition's doing that. And now you're not listening to your intuition. The next one is you've had a great day at work. So the next one is social feedback. So here it is. You're like, oh yeah, I got this deal through, and then you're going, this is too good to be true. There's got to be something else here. Now you come home and you tell your partner about it, or whoever's at home, and you're like, I just bagged this deal. They will let you know everything you have not done at home or anything else. You're laughing because
While
I
you're
think
talking about this, can you please finish the dishes?
Yeah, you see what I mean? So now your person at home, whoever that is, or even it can be literally, it doesn't even have to be at home. If you're on such a high from something, you can bet your bottom dollar that your social feedback is going to come in if you don't listen to your intuition.
Yeah.
I'll give you my example. I had an office at home. I lived with my parents for 39 years. And I had a small little office when I started out at home. And if I thought I had done amazing transformations that day, I would literally come out of there, go into the lounge, and not even say anything, like not say, oh, I've had a great day. I would be feeling it, right? My perception was it was all great. And my mom and my dad would go, did you ring that person? Oh my God, you haven't done this. And then my mom would be like, I had to do this. And I'm like, I've just had a great day. What the hell is this all about, right? Until I realized that it was a feedback system. The universe was giving me feedback to say, hey, humble yourself or you'll get humbled. And similarly, if I thought I hadn't done too well, or I'd really messed up, my mum or my dad would absolutely go, they'd build me up. So anytime you are above equilibrium, if you're above the balance perspective, you are going to attract humbling circumstances. If you're below, you're going to attract pride building. So they're going to be stroking your ego to bring you back up. You're not that much of a, asshole. It's just going to bring you back up. And I think that when I recognized that, I was like, hang on a minute. If I take control of that. So before I close my, computer, everything, and if I think I've had a great day, I'm going to go, who did I not serve? What was I not able to do? What did I not complete? Who did I not get back to, for example? So I can see I had a balanced day. And similarly, if I think I've had a really bad day in my perception, I'm going to go, who did I serve? What did I do that was great? just to bring it into balance so that when I walk out of my office, and by the way, I don't always do this. So I am just as human.
Yes,
and
and we all.
aren't we all? And so I will have my partner sometimes balance me out. I also have like some clients that will balance me out, friends. And the thing is recognizing it.
Yes, exactly.
When you recognize it, like sometimes now my partner will do it and my husband will do it. And I'll say to him, I'll go, I got it. You're just bringing me back to balance. And then I'm not
without
attached.
the resentment.
Yes,
right?
I was going to say, then I'm not attached to him. And I don't take it personally because I realize it's not him doing it. It's the feedback system doing it for me.
That is very interesting because I'm a very happy, enthusiastic person. And it happens to me a lot that I come home very enthusiastic and I'm not being met at my level of vibration or enthusiasm. So when it's not happening, I have that feeling of resentment from my partner being like, why not that happy for me?
Yeah.
Well, because I also have a life and I also doing, and maybe I'm tired, maybe it's 11 p.m. and
And your partner is doing the beautiful job to help you come back into balance, because when you're in balance and you see both sides, you're most authentic.
Yeah.
So, she's playing that part to bring you to be your most authentic person, that you can be.
That's interesting. It's a change of perspective.
Yeah.
In that. What are the last two that you want to mention?
The first, in order of sequence, first is your physiology. Your physiology is already responding to your perceptions because obviously it's starting off with how you're perceiving things, the meaning you're making, and then of course the chemicals that are going through. So it's trying to already bring you back to balance.
Like being tired after this podcast, for example. I have a tendency to crash, because the energy that I bring into all of this.
If you think it's all positive,
back,
yes,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, that will do it. Then your psychology, which is your intuition. So you've got your physiology, your psychology. Then you have sociology, which is the social feedback. And if you don't listen to any of that, then it gets to theological events. So it's basically catastrophic events to the degree that, you are being brought back into balance again. So depending on how catastrophic that event can be, will be equal to how much you are above equilibrium or below equilibrium. The pride building event is there to bring you back, but from the other side.
So why I'm thinking is because at the back of my mind, I love the concept, but at the back of my mind, my ambitious entrepreneurial spirit is pushing me to, I want to have more and more and more of that, of those great experiences. I want to have more of those fulfilling, thoughts and emotions. And I don't want the balance on the other way to hit me back. Because also if I'm going all of the way up, then I guess from what you're saying, something big also can kick me back. So is it about every day kind of like still going for it and enjoying, but bringing yourself back emotionally so you don't feel the big discrepancy of between the highest point and the lowest point. Is that correct?
Yeah. You know, when you're more balanced, you're more you're less volatile, but you're embracing both sides. And when you're embracing both, just because I'm embracing both sides and seeing that part of my life doesn't mean I'm less driven or anything like that. I'm actually more inspired because now I realize no matter what the hell I do, no matter what step I take, I'm always going to have both sides.
Yeah. It's all
so now what happens is there's no fear.
Yeah. Okay.
There's no fear of moving forward. If I know I'm always going to get a balance, I'm like, well, to hell with it. Like, let's just move forward. You know, I am got enough certainty because I've seen it in my, in my own life, because when I got into this work, I, like you know, okay, concept's great, great. I understand it. Let's apply it to my life,
exactly.
Because it's almost like a test, isn't it? I don't think that one applies to me, So, but once I did, over the years now, before I started working with clients, I had enough certainty that in my own life, all my experiences that I'd either labeled positive or negative, there was always the other side. My internal and external environments were always maintaining balance. I was just not aware of it.
Exactly. So you brought that to your awareness and realized, actually, this is just what it is.
This is
a bit of a universal law, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's called the universal law of duality.
Okay.
And some people can refer to it as non-duality.
Okay.
But if you take visually, I would say it's like a magnet. If I gave you a magnet and I said to you, cut it in half and give me only one side. I still have the offer on the table, by the way, £1 million, right? If you can do it. No one's got it yet. Because every time you cut that magnet in half,
it's another magnet.
There will be two sides. Yeah. So why is it that we expect our life to be any different to those, negative and positive poles? Because if we're also looking at it from, science level perspective.
From a quantum perspective. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're going to have, a neutron and an electron. And in the middle is the bosonic state, which is where there is no charge. But the reality is we're never going to stay there, right? I definitely want to put this up front because in case anyone's listening and think, oh, yes, Manmeet must be really balanced. No, these are fleeting moments. And those fleeting moments that get you to integrate, it's not something you just go, oh, great, I see the balance, I'm moving on. No, these are moments when your brain actually integrates two sides. It drops into your heart and there's an open heart experience, not literally opening your heart, but there's a moment that there's true love and gratitude. And when I talk about love, I'm talking about the synthesis of both sides. This is something I learned from my mentor, and it was realizing that the definition of love is not if only someone supports you or something that's only amazing and they only love me if they do good for me and, or if they do negative or they don't love me. No, I realized that love was the integration of them both. And it actually allowed me to open my heart and be so grateful for that individual or the experience that I was getting. And my human will of what I thought should have happened in that moment matches divine will. Now, I'm not attached to what you call the divine, whatever that is. But in that moment, those two, when they came into an alignment, there was nothing I wanted to change about that experience, about that individual. I was able to love and appreciate the individual for who they were. And at the essence of all our being, that's what we want. We want to be loved and appreciated for who we are. Who we are is an expression of our hierarchy of values. And at that, it's like no one wants to change. No one wants to be changed. But yet we want to tell everyone to change according to our values.
The hierarchy of values, is that the axiology that you were mentioning to me about last weekend? Can you say a bit more? It still is a bit of an abstract concept.
So when we look at the hierarchy of values, it's not values as we think, it's not about honesty, integrity and things like that. This derives from axiology. It's really interesting because just the word axiology is the most important ology there is. in understanding yourself and other people. Yet it's the least studied ology. Because I hadn't come across it when I came across it. I was like, what's that? Like,
you're the first person I'm hearing saying about this.
Yeah.
And now you're telling me this is the most important
I know,
science.
right?
Okay.
This is why part of my mission is to have people understand this, because when I realized it, it really like completely shifted my mindset. Before I could even look at the balance, I would say this being the crux of human behavior. And this is really understanding that every single human being has a hierarchy of values.
Okay.
So let's call it values or priorities, right? From what they value and prioritize most. And then there are infinite lower values.
Okay.
So
Can you give some examples?
So for example, I have a very high value on family, and then I have a value on me making an impact and building a business, transformation for self and other, and then wealth building may well also be in there, right?
Yes.
So you've got all these different hierarchies. But if you ask not all different hierarchies, different values. But when you ask someone, what are your values? They go, oh, yes, honesty,
authenticity, exactly. Yeah.
So when you look at that hierarchy, it is like thumbprint specific, retinal specific. There's no two human beings that will ever have the same hierarchy.
Okay.
They may have similar, but they'll never have the identical.
Not to the same extent, you mean? Yeah, okay.
It's like your DNA kind of thing, right? It's so specific. And when you find what your hierarchy of values are, you will realize the reason I say it's the crux of understanding yourself is because it's where you make your emotions from. So you'll create all your meanings around everything based on this hierarchy. You will then decide based on that what you're going to do because of the meaning you've made.
Alrighty.
Excuse me. And you're making your judgment. So let me give you an example. You've got let's say you've got this great program that you're running consciousness for leaders, and I come in and I'm sitting across the table to you, and I'm just a Joe person in Starbucks, and you give me this idea. Now I have a very high value on let's say I have a value on family. I don't have any value on self-mastery. There's nothing that comes to me from that. And I'm just in my normal 9 to 5. I'm going to go, what the hell is that?
Why would I join it?
And you might tell me all of this and I'll go, well, that's a crap name in the first place. Like, what the hell is conscious leaders anyway? Now what happens? I've just challenged you in your number one value, your number one priority. Okay. So what you do is you make a meaning around that, and you then make the emotion of anger, likely, or frustration, like, why don't they get it? And then you're going to label me bad. So now you made a judgment. So there's the emotion, there's the judgment. And now you go, well, I'm not going to hang out with you. So now you just decided you're not going to hang out with me. So your judgment, so you perceived about it, which created the emotion. Then you judged me, and then you decided. The three things that we're in control of, perceptions, decisions, and actions, all happened based on that hierarchy.
Okay. Yeah.
Very similarly, you and I met for breakfast for the first time, and we had a great conversation. I supported your highest value because we have very similar values. We had a great conversation, and you perceived me to be, someone that was going to create some value for you. You decided you wanted to hang out with me and ask me on the podcast.
Yes,
yeah, exactly.
That's so cool.
And when I said yes, you judged me to say yes. Judged me to be good.
Gotcha.
You understand?
Yes, absolutely.
So when I found out, I was like, hang on a minute. These three things all derive from that. Why would I not want to know what mine are? And why would I not want to know what my loved ones are? Because if I understand mine and I understand theirs, the communication between us is going to be so inspiring, because once you realize you're judging everything based on your values, you're going to, either you're going to acknowledge theirs and realize, I'm just going to go on a little tangent here with this. You have three, there's many unrealistic expectations, but I boil them down to three. These are the source and cause of what I would call anger, aggression, blame, betrayal, all these, my mentor kind of calls it like the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H's of negativity. There's so much that comes from these three unrealistic expectations that I call it. So one is expecting the universe to live outside of universal laws. So we've just talked a whole lot about it being dual. And here we are. If we expect it only to be positive, that's unrealistic. And then what happens? We get angry. We feel like, God has betrayed us. And so all those emotions come up. The second is expecting others to live inside of our priorities. So if you, for example, if your wife or your partner has a value on health, and you now have a value on this, and it's like, okay, well, she's got time to go to the gym and it's booked in, or it's a time to, oh my God, I just booked a podcast, right? Now, if she goes, no, but you've got the gym, right? And she's expecting you to live inside of her values, there's going to be anger and aggression, and she's going to go, you betrayed me because you had an appointment with me to go to the gym and you don't value our relationship, blah, blah, blah.
What I'm just living up to my values, and that's a priority that I'm making because they're more important to me.
That's it. It is as simple as that. And if she, and so then you see, if she then keeps projecting onto you, that's the projection. The injection is the third value, the third unrealistic expectation. You expect yourself to live inside of other people's values because they say so. So now if you go, oh my God, okay, fine, I will, cancel the podcast. I won't do it. And I subordinate, and I'm now sacrificing my values for yours. And now you're in that, when you go and do that, you're now feeling the ABCDs of negativities because you're now expecting yourself to be someone you're not. And every single human being just wants to be loved for that. Now, here's what could happen in a loving exchange in that. Okay, great. You've got a podcast. What time is it? Oh, it's from this time to this time. Okay, so what I will do is I will do a little bit of a workout at home. I'll do some warm-ups and everything. By the time you do your podcast and come back, we'll be able to go and do a workout together. How about that? You get to do what you do. She gets to do what she does. And then you get to be in the middle too. Now, some people call this compromise. And there's a difference between compromise, because compromise still implies that one has given up something important to them.
Yes, exactly. I sacrifice today so you can sacrifice tomorrow.
Yeah. Whereas when you meet in the middle, there's equity. There's fair exchange. There's I get to fulfill my value, and you get to fulfill yours. It's being able to see how you can serve other people and serve yourself at the same time. And I think this is a beautiful segue into what you were talking about, profit versus
absolutely.
Impact. So
because the way I see it, and tell me if you see it the same way, is it seems to me, and I've talked to hundreds of leaders, so there's a consensus there that you can either be a profit-driven leader working on a profit-driven company, or you are becoming a purpose-driven leader for a purpose-led organization.
Yeah.
And it's like when I speak to spiritual people, I don't know how to make money. I just want to help people. Yeah, but you also have to make it in a sustainable way. So actually you can help more people. Otherwise, after 2 weeks, you need to look for a job. And on the other side, we see so many organizations that just don't care about their employees. They just don't care about the customers in the end. They're just there to sell whatever product. There's a lot of manipulation and etc. So again, another big polarization, another spectrum to look into. And what I'm trying to bring is the two together. You can be, I really believe you can be both an entrepreneur that is successful in monetary values, so financially successful, but also creating a lot of impact, staying on your purpose, being authentic to yourself. You don't have to sell your soul in order to make money.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to bring. So first of all, do you see also the same thing in the environment?
I'm not going to say I see it in potentially the same way, but here's what I do see, because I was just talking, and that's why I said it's great to bring this in. When you see a fair exchange, and you have the most, you have the most results that are going to be sustainable, because there's fair exchange and equity theory that comes into that. So if those leaders, like you said, are not caring about their staff, they're just literally only up there to make money. Well, what they're doing is they're serving themselves. That's not sustainable. At some point, that's going to come down. If you do it the other side and now you're doing all altruistic, let's make it all about the other people, then as you said, you don't have money to survive. So that's unsustainable. So it's very interesting because now I'm going to give you the polarity of behaviors. This one's more narcissistic. This one's more altruistic. So which one's more sustainable? The combination of both.
I knew you were going that way. That's why I didn't want to reply. But you're talking about the values. So do I understand then that as a purpose-driven entrepreneur, I just haven't put the money value high enough in my priorities?
You've got it.
Okay,
Spot
so
on.
how would someone defining your values, and do you have a list of values that you can share?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a list. You go through a value determination process that I've learned over time, and there's a set of questions that we ask, and you can determine what they are.
Okay.
But it very much is, what are the three things that you're prioritizing?
Exactly. So I come to you and we define together the list of 5-6 values.
Yeah, you're typically from doing the questioning process, you'll get your top 4 or 5 values. Yeah. Okay. So now let's say, I'll just give you my example. When I first started out doing this, I had a higher value on practicing the method and how I was doing it. And I wanted testimonials. So I wanted to build my profile that was a higher value within this business. So money wasn't up there. So what did I do? Now, people will I did free sessions, but actually they weren't free. My exchange was, please give me a testimonial so that I can move that forward. And if you have somebody you'd love for me to serve, they can also get this. And I did that for a little while, right? Very little while, because slowly I got the testimonials and I was and then I started as low as £60 an hour. And then obviously, grew that.
But you already had the authority from the testimonials,
yes,
which in a way
then I got the
helped
exchange.
you make more money after. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah. And then I got the exchange though. So here's a bit of I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on the podcast, but it's a bit of
I don't know.
It's a bit of a mind F, right? But the mind F is that there is always fair exchange. The currency that we get the exchanges is determined by our values. So if you have a higher value on building your profile, socializing, for example, or social media, you're going to do things and get that in exchange. When you bring up wealth building and financial wealth in your hierarchy, you're going to start charging for it, and you're going to start charging more for it. And yes, you might have some people that can afford you and some people that can't. Now, sometimes you might introduce something that the people who can afford you and a little bit more well off, you might go, would you like to, for example, donate for some of the pro bono cases that I take on, so that it goes towards that, and they can then afford me by paying me for that. That could be something, right? But it might just be that actually, no, as my wealth building came up higher in my priorities, and it took some work. It took some work to bring it up. It didn't just come up, because there was blocks there. There was, oh my God, money is the root of all evil. And then there was oh my God, look at that person. When they became wealthy, they became like this. I don't want to be that individual.
Or wealthy equals corrupted, and wealthy equals,
Yeah, so there was a lot of work that went into that. But also the very simple process was linking wealth creation to my highest value. So how was me creating wealth going to help me in my coaching and teaching? How is it going to help me in my business? How is it going to help me in my family? And the answer isn't, it's going to help me so I can spend it. It's how is actually potentially, creating wealth where it's only then put into causes and things that are going to create wealth for me.
So your values are you, because that's right now you'll figure out my values and you have my top 5. But then we would look together into, this is what I want to achieve.
Yeah.
And actually you would be able to support me into raising some values higher so they can serve me better, right?
Yeah. You could raise them higher. Whenever you set a goal, if you're ever setting a goal, like anything you want to achieve, if you're setting it and it's not aligned with your values. So for example, if, clearly my value is transformation and things. Now let's say I want to go on MasterChef, right? cooking is nowhere in my values.
Okay.
Well, actually, it's a little bit higher now that I got married, but it's not as high as me wanting to serve people for their transformation. So the next time I get a call and they're like, can you, my PA goes, can you fit this client? Yeah, sure. Oh, but I was meant to make dinner for my husband that day. Which one am I going to choose is what's higher on my values, right? So if I keep creating goals aligned with my lower values, by the way, this is the secret left out of the secret. Okay.
Go for it.
If you keep making goals that are aligned with your lower values, they're more to do with them. You have the least probability of ever achieving them.
Got you. Okay. It's so inspiring, and I'm actually going into my head with this because before creating Conscious Leaders Dubai, I was a consultant.
Okay.
My job was to make customers of organizations happy, right?
Yeah.
Happier customer, more profit. So the organizations was making profit. So as a consultant, I had as my goals, make 50K this year and then make 100K this year. And my next goal was make 150K this year. Those were my success KPIs. Now I've created Conscious Leaders Dubai with the exact opposite, saying, let's remove all of the financial goals. Those are the rewards from the good work I do. And I actually started to say, let's help. My goal this year is help 48 leaders, right? Because it's 4 cohorts of 12 people, which is the maximum that I do in a group. So are you saying that now I've basically pushed my impact value to the highest, but I have also pushed down the monetary value?
No, so I'm talking that's true in terms of your value. The value on making the impact is higher, but you're still serving yourself.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you were to do that cohort and you were charging much less than what you perceive you were going to get in exchange, you wouldn't do it.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're still serving yourself to an exchange of fair exchange monetary.
Okay.
So you still have a balance of both impact and being financially rewarded for it. Okay.
As long as I understand that my program, which is worth that amount, is sold for the amount I believe in, and I don't give 50% discount to whoever's coming because I just want to fill the 12 people.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So you're still getting that. What I'm saying is, though, as you have that goal, you have that value of conscious leaders and you're doing this program, if you now start creating a goal which is all around, I don't know, you tell me something that's a real low priority for you.
Something that's a very low priority for me in my business.
No, not specifically in business and life. Like something you just, I couldn't pay you enough to do it.
Buying a fancy car, I couldn't care less, for example.
Fine. So now I say to you, right, let's start saving money to buy a car, right? You're going to put the money into a pot and the next minute there might be something to help your conscious leaders. You're going to spend it there.
Taking it out for sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
So the goal of the car will never be met because it's so low in your values. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But if I was to take any goal, I can do one of two things. Drop the goal. Get really real.
Exactly.
Like this is not aligned with me.
You, just remove
just drop it.
Yeah.
It's not real. Second thing is, but if I really want the car and I really do want to make it higher in my values, how do I do it? You link, how is having a car gonna help me in my higher values? Now, I might just say it may not be the car, but for you, as you said, if wealth is lower down, how do I bring it up? I would get that goal, break down all the things I have to do. Firstly, what are my action steps? Well, I've got to start paying myself first if I'm not doing that. Anything you're not doing, you link.
Yeah.
If I'm already paying myself first and I'm saving, that's fine. Maybe I'm not investing. Okay, well, do I know how to invest? No, I need to go and learn. Okay, well, where are we going to learn? Okay, this one. But you know what? I just don't get around to watching those videos and I don't get around to doing that. What that is, anything that is lower in your values, you will need outside motivation to always do it. Okay. Which is why when people say to me, are you, a motivational speaker? Can you come motivate my team? And I'm like, no, I'm not coming to motivate them. I'm coming to inspire them, because what you can do is you can take the lower priorities, that you want them to do, like you create wealth, and bring it up higher by linking it. The amazing process of linking via values allows people to go from motivation to inspiration so quickly. And those are the kind of staff, and yourself as a business owner, entrepreneur, you'll never need motivating again once you see those links, because it's no longer about the wealth, it's about other things.
Absolutely. So what I take away from everything you've said, because there's so many pieces of knowledge in here, I'm going to have to listen to it. It's great, it's a podcast, so you can listen to it whenever you want, right?
Yeah.
But what you're saying is connecting your values and then your goals, understanding how they serve you, and this is going to give you clarity, and this is also going to support everything you do, as opposition to then creating resentment or creating frustration, which now links back to the first part of our conversation with the emotions, because in the end, what we're trying to do is find all of that balance into our life and put everything into alignment. Is that a good summary?
Yeah. And can you see why now, if after discussing everything, can you see why I call the values the crux of understanding all human behavior?
Yeah.
Because everything derives from that. And so anytime you're having emotions, we look at where is it being challenged, supported in that. Then you've got your goals, and it's like, okay, when I said it's the secret, left out the secret, because if I have a goal to, do this cooking class and do master, I'm thinking about it. Oh, I've got pictures of MasterChef all around me. It's not going to happen just like that. I've got to get up off my ass and do something about it. And I'm only going to do it and take action if it's aligned with my values.
But I can also change and adapt my values in order to support that goal, and then see if that's in agreement and congruent together, because otherwise saying I want to go to MasterChef just for whatever reason is not going to work.
No, but if you said to me, Manmeet, there's an opportunity to go on MasterChef, and it's it's a specific episode, special episode for conscious leaders, right, who want to make a difference. But what they're going to do with food is they're going to show how you can manage emotions. You see what I'm going with this?
Yes.
I'm already excited. Yeah. I'm already thinking that's a great idea.
And you're cooking for the next 2 weeks to perfect that dish. Yeah,
but can you see it's not about the cooking anymore?
Yeah.
It's about because someone took the time to link it to what was important to me. And that is the thing with entrepreneurship. Anytime you get a no in your business, anytime, whether it's a client, whether it's a staff member, whether it's even outside of your business, the biggest thing that's happened there is you've not taken the time to link what it is you're communicating in someone else's values. You've not taken the time to care enough to go, this is how it's going to help you. I already know how it's going to help me. But when you go to someone and it's all about you, this is the profit, the leaders that are only concentrating on profit, they're making it all about their values, what's going to serve them, and that's careless. The other ones on the other side that are saying the altruistic, they're making it all about you, and it's like, oh, what can we do for you? What can we do for you? Yeah. They now minimize, and now they're careful because they're walking on eggshells. The caring, fair exchange relationship happens when you take care of each other's values. Yeah, and the awareness is basically the number one part, and this is what we talk about with becoming a more conscious leader. We talk about leading from a place of awareness, from a place of clarity. So I'm definitely putting values. We're going to have this conversation, you and I, because I want to figure it out and I want to share that. And I want to also make sure that I'm getting people also part of the team and the community, that those values are shared and lived and understood. So we create something that is cohesive, right? Yeah. And by the way, these are, like, for example, sometimes people go, do I need to do this with my kids? Do I need to see it? Just watch their behavior. They're already living. Everybody is living and showing you by talking, by, their behavior, what is important to them. You just have to see their reaction and you'll be like, oh, that was important to them. I would, of course, have billions of questions more, but I guess, you can always come back. Yes, exactly. We'll do another one. Let's do a quick rapid fire. Okay. So kind of like I ask you a question and you take less than 10 seconds. One word, one sentence. No more. Okay. You ready for that one? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's try. What is one success belief that you think leaders should let go of? That it's a point where you arrive. Say it again. That it's a point where you arrive. Success is a point where you arrive. Let go of that belief. Good. Wow. I don't know if I can actually do it. You just triggered me with like more thoughts and more questions.
How do you know personally when you're out of balance?
I know it when I'm reacting. So whether I'm trying to seek something or whether I'm trying to avoid something, I know I'm out of balance.
And how do you solve that specifically?
By asking specific quality questions.
Okay.
I will basically, that's from, the DeMartini method, help myself come back into balance.
So if now someone will feel stuck and completely out of balance, what would you advise that person to be doing right now?
Right now, I would say first identify what are you out of balance with. Is it the fact that you're trying to seek something or trying to avoid something? And if it's something you're infatuated with, immediately ask what are the downsides? What am I missing out on? What are the equal positive negatives to this positive? And on the other side, if they're feeling something is out of balance where it's really negative, I would go, what's the benefits to me? How does it serve me in my highest values and what's important to me? How is it actually helping me achieve that? What am I gaining from this? So that you can also see the balance.
Gotcha. Last one. What does living an optimum life means to you?
I think we answered this quite broadly in the actual podcast, but living an optimum life is firstly understanding and knowing what your true values and your priorities are, and then going out and living them. Once you know them and you're aware of them, go and live them. You're not here to be in the shadows of anybody else's values, but to stand out and be the genius that you are in your values.
Beautiful. That's a mic drop. Thank you so much, Manmeet.
Thank you, Matt.
You've shared such a great amount of knowledge in here. I'm going to have to digest that one for sure.
Thank you so much for having me.
So now for the people who want to see you, they just and get in contact with you, they just go in your website. It is optimumperformancesolutions.com.
Yes.
Right, they can just figure out their next values by having a conversation with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. They can have a conversation. We can, definitely to take this further. Thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed it. And like we said,
yes, me too.
Time's just gone so quickly.
Absolutely. And I hope that we can share those conversations with, the millions. This is what conscious leadership is about. It's about having fantastic conversations and sharing it with others so we can all grow. So thank you again.
No, thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you so much. You too.